So in my last knife vid, I did promise that I would do a super high-end, super expensive one. I honestly don't have any on hand though. Sometimes we'll have them run through the project. They're pretty transitory. We usually don't have them for more than, 6 months at a time. But I did grab some that hopefully will show you a bit of the variation in them. And what you're going to see with a lot of these is the base model may not be super expensive. Some of these I was even surprised to find at like $200 instead of what I thought would be around $300 to $400. They have variations of them where they'll throw Damascus in, carbon fiber, and that'll bring your price point a lot higher than what you initially start out with. So I have them all over here on my left just in a random pile. I'll just start grabbing them out. First off, any of the Protec series, I want to say this is a TR2 or something. All the autos are just fantastic. Protec's got awesome quality, and honestly, there's really little reason to do this video other than to show you one of the Protecs at the very end. This is a pretty good example of it. This is a base one. I want to say this is about $200. I actually forgot to grab the pricing on this before I came up here, so I'm sure you can find some of these on your own. Great quality. They do have that unusual kind of dry, it's not a Duracoat feel, but it's more of a dry aluminum scale feel. I find this on Protex and Microtechs more often than not. It's usually just the anodizing and finishing process they have. It's almost a titanium feel finish on it. It's really cool. This one may be titanium. I wish I had researched that more. Ignore that since I don't really know what I'm talking about on that one. We're talking about Microtechs though. I can go ahead and bring this one out. This is a Microtech SF dual action. So this one you can do auto, or you can do the manual stuff and the little thumb stud. I personally don't really like this thumb stud as much. It's a little too flat. It's not grippy enough for me. My favorite Microtechs are probably the Amphibian, which I tried to find a copy of, but I couldn't grab it really in time, if we still have it around. The auto of Amphibian is excellent, so is the normal one. They kind of stopped making those a while ago, I think. They still do the SOCOM 2s. I like the older ones where they had some rubber inserts in there. The newer ones, they're kind of doing like carbon fiber like this. It's not as cool to me. They are just still fantastic knives. It's hard to go wrong with any of them. This one I really like. I kind of wish this one had like a different colored blade. I love the Microtech ones, and they'll do some camouflage on them. They're just beautiful that way. It's really cool. They have that kind of old 90s G.I. Joe look sometimes where it's a tiger stripe Arctic camo. Really cool. I actually ought to start leaving these out for you so you at least have something to look at. So you got that, you got the Protec series. Maybe it's a TR2. I really feel like I should have done my homework on that one. Now this one, everyone asked me what I thought about it before, and I finally found where to rate it from in the house. This is one of the ZT, I want to say 0560 Hinderers. They're pretty cool. This knife, I really can't say anything bad about it. I love the blade heft, I love the shape of it. Keep in mind, I'm not like a crazy knife guy. I use mine as a tool and really a little bit of collector value in there. I like carrying it if I like the style and the feel. It's kind of esoteric for me. I don't really like just carrying something that's expensive. I want something that, one, I can use and I'm not afraid to mess with. Like this, for some reason, I don't really have any fear about that blade, so I'll go ahead and open boxes with it and cut, and I can sharpen it at will. Not as afraid of that. This one a little more so, especially once you get into the delicate tips like that. I've busted some knives in the past just abusing them. So I'm kind of careful. I don't really want to carry a super high-end knife just to beat on it. I like something that's pretty stout if it's going to be high-end, but then you trade off with style. This makes a pretty good compromise in it. I do like this funky golf ball surface. I want to say there's a better word for that, and I'm sure I've read it at some point in time, but it's not coming to mind right now. It's cool. It does get kind of grabby under jeans right here. I've seen another one that's been filed down in there. There are all kinds of user mods for them. Overall, though, this knife doesn't do it for me like some of the other ones do. I love this color, the Coyote Brown. In black and all that, I don't know. It's about 260 bucks, I want to say. In that neighborhood, there are some other options that I'd really be looking at, like Protex I really like. It is hefty, it is stout, definitely a usable blade. You can wail on this all you want, and I doubt there's going to be much harm that would come to it over time. It's a great option. It's just, style-wise, I can't love it enough to personally spend out of pocket for it. I have carried this one a fair amount, actually, so kind of talking out of my ass. I would say if you're looking for this, though, and you have some money to spare, I would blow it off altogether, and I would get one of the Lone Wolf T2s. They're awesome. This one is one of the camo variations. I think it does cost a little bit more. I'm inclined to say the liners in it are titanium. They've quit making these as far as I can tell. They're fairly collectible. I've seen prices go up and up on them. I mentioned it in another video, but I'm going to mention it again just because it's so damn cool. This takes everything that's great about the Harsey Air Ranger, the Gerber one that I love, and it just takes it to the next level. It's got excellent steel, excellent quality, US, it's just great. So if you can find them, buy them. I'll probably try to race you to them if I can ever find another one. I still can't bring myself to carry this because, you know, it's kind of one of a kind. We don't have any more in the collection and it's kind of hard to find, so trying to make it last. Next one I actually thought was going to be a lot more expensive than it was. This is his Auto Presidio. It's a Benchmade. You can find a lot of these. This is pretty cool. I love these axis locks on them. They're so easy to work with. This is the coolest purple color I've ever seen on a knife. We've tried to kind of find more of these and they don't really make so many of them. This was a limited edition. This is number 22 of 50. It's really cool. I love the color on it. I can only imagine how cool it would look if this started to wear away and you had some like sides and just, you know, some cool lived-in wear. We still haven't really put it into the carry rotation. It's kind of stupid as I'm saying this because I know the point is not to just have it and throw it in a safe. It's to use it and enjoy it. So at some point in time I'll probably start racking through these and, you know, burn off some edges whenever nothing fancy's not looking. This one is actually, I want to say, about $200. You can get normal Presidios for pretty cheap. The problem is finding one in this color and one of the limited ones. I have no idea. I couldn't find the old pricing logs from back in the day. This is, I want to say, about an 06, 08 blade, maybe even 04. Some of our older, more high-end collectible collection dates back to that time. It may very well cost about $400. I would say it's about that much. That's the issue with a lot of these. You know, you can have these Protex and Microtechs. They start out in the 200s or so. And this double action, I want to say is about 300 or so. Maybe 320, 280, around there. Fairly expensive. The difference between this and a high-end version of it is going to be huge. You can have them start out at $200 to $300, and they go all the way to $1,300. All it takes is a different finish up here, some funky scales. They'll do like mother of pearl or, I don't know, like human teeth, some wicked expensive inlay to it. Next thing you know, you're paying $2,000 for a blade. It's not uncommon. I really do wonder how many of the knife shops will actually buy something like this. You know, if this were like a gold titanium coated blade, which is one of the coolest things ever, and let's just say like, I don't know, dinosaur tooth inlays in here and it costs $4,000. I wonder if those people really buy them for their shops online expecting them to be sold, or if they just kind of put the listing up as a halo model, because I can't imagine that many people dropping, you know, 10 to 20K a year just on knives alone. It's a little ambitious. I guess I should organize these so they're all nice and pretty. Alright, I'm kind of at a loss for what to show y'all because I don't have a lot of super high-end knives. You know, the project's about value, it's about consistent quality. It's not really about going out and dropping $800 or basically gun money if it's enough to buy a fully functioning rifle. You can get an M&P Sport for the amount of some of the knives out there, which is pretty cool. You know, we just can't have that many on. So I've tried to find, literally, these are some of the more expensive ones we have, and that's kind of embarrassing to the super knife aficionados. But this one is the Benchmadeinfidel. This is something I did personally carry for a while. You can tell it's got some pocket clip wear there. I'll say it's really cool. It definitely has style. I could never bring myself to use it as a knife, though. This edge is perfect. It's awesome. It's just got that double-edged, just excellent razor edge on it from the factory, and I cannot bring myself to dick that up. It's beautiful. I'm sure it's functional, but I can never attest to it. This thing actually is one of my lesser favorite auto knives when it comes to the OTFs. I like the Microtech Halos. I like our Ultratechs that we did. Over time, I've really grown to like the Ultratech more. The thing that keeps this blade from really being perfect for me is I can forgive the blade. It's not going to be that. It's not going to be the delicate nature of this thing, because I'm sure you could wail on its D2 steel. And if I were man enough, I could just learn to figure out my own sharpening technique and get it perfect each time. That's possible. My issue is in this. If you look as I'm doing it, it's kind of hard to illustrate, but there's kind of a lot of play before it finally does it. The way I'm pulling it here, the tension increases as it's coming up, increasing, 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 increasing. Now it's harder, and right there. It's kind of weird. It's almost like a really bad trigger pull. It's not crisp, it's not clean, it's just muddy. You never know where it's engaging. You kind of have this area here. If you look, that's all slop. I like the Microtechs, how they get really particular about their tuning. And the Ultratechs, it's hard to get out and in sometimes with one hand, but you know when it's about to go. It's a hard, tough trigger pull, but it is cleaner than this. If Benchmade were to fix that, this would easily be like a 9 out of 10. For me right now, it's probably about a 7. It's still great, has great quality. I would love to see one of these in some more, you know, flamboyant scales. If this were this color, I would have a boner that would pretty much punch through this table right now. There is no describing how cool that would be. And then you could do the flat black blade with it. This is one of the more base models, I want to say. I have seen some other ones. They've done the custom ones for like $1,500, $1,600. Really cool if you can find those. So the last one, I know every time you mention blades, you can't not mention the CRK Sebenza. Ooh, Sebenza, ooh. I understand why guys can like this knife, and I do like it, but for the price, damn dude, it is expensive. It is perfectly made though. It's really impeccable quality. If you look at the amount of liner space there, it's faultless. The quality, even the sound, it's got a very unusual, like, it's hard to describe. You can tell that they put a lot of work and effort into making sure that it is perfect. You do not pay this amount of money for this knife to get something that is misaligned, that's clunky, that's not precise. It is very watch-like in its precision, but it does so in such a simple way that it almost seems like it's overvalued at times. You know, you can say, yeah, it's American made, it's Idaho made, which, whatever, Idaho, good heavens. I'm making fun of all my friends from Idaho because they're, you know, such boring people. And so you kind of look at it and you think, well, it's just a plain titanium scale. It does bug me that it doesn't have another sided thumb stud because, you know, I do like to carry with my left hand a lot of times. This kind of keeps me from doing that. Drives me crazy. I'm sure there's a mod I gotta look into. If anyone knows about that, drop it in comments because I'd love to put one on. This one I actually don't carry that much because I have lost one knife, a Zycar and a multi-tool. So, yeah, I'm kind of too hesitant to carry a $400 blade that I did not buy. It's plain, it's very average looking from afar, but all of its quality is just intrinsic. This is something that doesn't look like much till you pick it up. Anyone who knows knives will obviously know. I even have the box up here if you look. That's literally how it's been stored because no one in the family can care to actually start taking it with them. You know, for fear that we start wearing it and all that. So it's basically an art piece right now in the house. That's really cool. I would say if you're looking at that though, look at the Bradley Alias. This is a little bit cheaper. This is about $220 for this. And I know people, whenever you mention a CRK and then start talking about alternatives, they get their panties in an uproar. Because heaven forbid you talk about the insurmountable CRK having a competitor. This is, I want to say, pretty much a ripoff of it. This is a first production run, 97 I guess. It's got the blue hardware too. I mean, come on dudes. This feels like titanium, looks like titanium, it has the same kind of thing. This is a bit slicker though. I've noticed with these, and I have seen them worn in and used a lot, they do slick up over time. You can definitely tune it however you want. It just comes very precise from the factory. I would be too afraid to screw that up, personally, so I haven't really touched that as much. But if you look, this has just a very flickable, quick opening thing, standard liner lock. Really, there's nothing production-wise to tell you that you can't just see from looking at it. It's a fairly basic blade, but it is quality, just like that CRK. It's awesome. I would probably be inclined to grab one of these over it just because it's so easy opening from the box. It really is a sweet, just smooth, comfortable flicker. Love it. So this one's about $220. This Infidel's about $400. To me, for a basic blade, I think you can get them for about $380. I did see a guy on Craigslist last year who was selling this one and a Spear Point one, and I think he asked about $240 for the pair. That was a good deal, whoever ended up buying those, because that was pretty cool. He was just using them as letter openers, so who knows what's up with that. This, Presidios, you can still get for pretty cheap. You can get them in black. They're a little more tactical that way. I remember when this review dropped and the main channel guys were complaining that purple's not tactical enough, so that's precious. I still like this. I really like these ones that are less loud, less... well, it is more loud, but they're less tactical. They're less, you know, it's not camo where you look like you're an out-of-work Vietnam vet. You don't look like you're a recent return on the GI Bill. I just kind of like the blatantly civilian stuff sometimes. I am a civilian. That's kind of what I do. That's my life. So I can carry a flamboyant purple pimp knife whenever I want to. I don't have to be all covert about it. And to me, this is less threatening in a normal situation. You know, if I pull something out like this, when I'm on a date with a girl, there's less a chance that she's going to be like, whoa, he's a weird survivalist, as opposed to this. I still find these equally cool and awesome, but there's a public perception that can go with that. This is more of an art piece. It's, I mean, she's still probably going to be freaked out if she's not cool, but either way, there's just kind of a different stigma that's attached to each of them. So keep in mind, all these are the base models. You can find Infidels, you can find Presidios, you can find some ZT mods that are just way more expensive than any of these. For me personally though, if I'm going to be dropping around this amount of money on stuff, I'm going to be pretty cringy about it. I'm not going to be very excited about saying, yeah, let me just drop down 400 bucks on a Sebenza right off the bat. For me, this would be an excellent aspirational purchase, and it's funny how I keep going to this because this is definitely a blade that you will value over time. All of these are, this is kind of one that I think has caught on because it is such a timeless, simple blade. You know, 100 years from now, this is definitely going to look pretty much the same. People are going to say, yeah, this is cool, I used to have it back in the day, there used to be this knife maker, it was great. A lot of these other ones may come and go, the manufacturers may disappear. This is a knife, Chris has done a fantastic job building his brand on that. The T2s, they're pretty much gone, so that's a write-off. Benchmade, they do new ones every year, kind of like Spyderco. You can never really tell from what era it's at. This is unchanged. It's like 23, 24 years old now. The Microtechs, they've always done some funky designs. This is probably not an example of timeless design. This looks like something a xenomorph would kind of create if it had a sentient brain and had to build tools. It's got some very distinct curves. It's cool. It's cool having that stuff in a land where all these knives can tend to look the same after a while. It's cool having something funky like that. So those are your options. That's just my idea on carry. These are pretty much the most expensive knives I've touched, but there is one more. And let me just clear all this crap off because this is the real reason I made it. This is my favorite knife. This is the one I have had to fight over in the will. And it's one that honestly I haven't even touched in years. This is the Protec Godfather. If you remember, part of the reason I do like blades is because when I was in high school, I used to hang out with Nothing Fancy, my father, and we would just hang out late at night. We'd be flipping knives and just talking about stuff. And that was a big bonding experience for us. You know, we'd talk about, hey, yeah, are you going out with what's her name? Yeah, it was cool. What's her name said, you know, she would bang me if I let her drive your car. That's cool. It's stick, though. Make sure she knows how to drive it. You know, that kind of stuff. So it was really cool that way. I've never really been able to shake that, especially with the knives from that time period. This is one of the ones he got. This is a limited edition, I want to say number 5. Number 5 of 25. It's titanium gold. I want to say titanium nitride or something like that. It's beautiful. It is beautiful. I love these Godfathers. You can even see some fingerprints from when I grabbed it earlier. It is a fantastic blade. This is just something I personally like. I'm sure guys out there think the gold is gaudy and stupid looking. To me, it is awesome. It looks just perfectly reflective. It's like a mirror edge in there. You can see how I've been bouncing it around, showing you parts of the studio in it. It's just awesome. Good luck finding these ones in particular. They didn't make many of them. As you can see, this one is one of 25. I haven't seen this exact one, but there are so many modifications to them and different variants out there that are for much less. I would be happy with pretty much any of them. There are some that you can have for, I want to say, as low as 260 bucks. You can get them with white scales on here and then like a tuxedo finish on these. That's the thing about this. This is one of the more expensive versions, but you can get a more basic one for, I want to say, $220. I saw one on clearance today when I was just Googling around. There are some really cool things out there. This whole modular system makes for a lot of different combos too. I've seen it in, you know, two-tone, black and white, full black, full white, gray. You'll have like gray scales here, black, and then, you know, a black blade. So many different options they can do with it. Just pick one you really like. This is a full auto. It is hard to get. Not full auto like it shoots a lot, but I'm saying it is. There's no provision for a safety or anything. It's just button and flip. It is excellent though. This is a tip that even I can't bring myself to touch and use, especially past the Infidel. I mean, if I thought that one was going to be delicate, I can't even imagine having to sharpen this and risk marring that beautiful finish. So that is my favorite knife of all time. Besides, I'm going to say the Buck Hoodlum. I love the Buck Hoodlum, and it even is better since it's so much cheaper than this. This, I want to say, is about $525. I did quote it a while back. I had someone ask me through the channel if they could buy it off of us, and I had to go price it just for funsies because I was like, no, I'm not going to. And they're often certain sums of money at the time, and I ended up looking it up, and I want to say I came to $525. I'm probably wrong on that. It's been a while since I've gone through and checked my notes on it. But if you do have $1,000 to spend, man, you can get some cool blades. A lot of these I would say would be great as kind of graduation presents of sorts. You know, you set a goal, You have an idea of what you're going to reward yourself with, and then you get it. Then you carry that. Every time you end up, you know, let's say this is a graduation present for me for getting a bachelor's or something, I would be super excited about that. And then over time, it's kind of a token of achievement. You feel like you've earned it. You bond with it over time. It becomes a part of you. You carry it every day. To me, that is really part of the coolness of the high-end knives. They provide the utilitarian factor, but as you carry it, it just becomes part of your persona. It's part of your character. You know, I could have that gold one. Oh, it's so cool. But as it gets more character wear and it gets like, you know, the edges kind of worn away and the area under the clip smoothed, it becomes a part of you. And that's part of the allure of high-end carry. Not just the fact that it's a collector's item, that it's great. It's that you got a tool that's meant to be used. It's beautiful. And it just gains an aesthetic value as you use it and really get your money's worth out of it. That's just the way I feel about it. I'm sure other guys out there think it's heresy and you should only put it in a museum case. There are just different thoughts and all that on everything. I could really talk about how much I love this knife forever. I just love the way it looks, feels, it's great. So if you can find one, grab those. Pick your own high-end carry knife. There are some cool ones. I did look on Blade HQ. They have a Boker AK-47 with a Damascus blade on there. That's pretty cool. 90 bucks, I want to say. Really cool. You can get some stuff for cheap. Also our TMP SR1, the Lion Steel, which I've been carrying like non-stop for the last 2 months. Really cool blade. I think they're on sale right now for like $210. That's kind of in the same vein as the Presidio, and this is actually the knife that prompted that, because when we were talking about them, I was like, dude, I'd love to get purple. That would be so cool, because it's such a cool color. Anyways, that's it for this week. So that's probably going to be my last of the high-end knives, because this is all I got. If we ever have anything else come across the stage, I'm going to start throwing it this way. Next week, I'm not sure what I'm going to do, if anything. The new Paranoid Owl patches are coming in on Thursday, March 27th, 8th, something like that. Sorry about the time delay on those. Those will be out to you soon. Anyways, thanks for watching. Thanks for subbing.